you almost don't want to come across as an IRS agent, because that's what makes people feel, oh man, he's here. And if I tell him that it's broken and he thinks it was me, I'm going to be construed as a problem. I try to tell people that's not what I'm here. I need you to tell me the truth, because if I don't know what's going on, I can't help you. If you're only giving me 50%, I can't help you. I don't care who did it. I don't care why it's here. And this is why I'm here to solve it. But if you don't help me, I can't do my job. And so I think it is extremely critical to be able to have the right stakeholders, and those stakeholders to be completely open and honest, because that's another thing I've seen historically where it hinders, at least a good CIO, it hinders them from the ability to be able to get to the source of truth and fix. And then it takes them time to have to figure it out on their own. Now, having said all that, I'm also a big believer, because my father taught me this at a very young age: believe nothing what you hear and have to. A smart CIO will read the room, hopefully, and also know exactly is what's being told to him. Is it real? Does it make sense? And then I would apply a little bit of effort to finding out the truth yourself as well, just to validate that and bring those two things.
Do you think a neutral third party would be a good option?
I think so, because at some point you get tunnel vision. Being in a place at the same time, you become complicit and you become conditioned, in my opinion. And so having a third party come in, as long as you're open to it, because a lot of CIOs I've seen also, there's this sense of what's going to happen to my job, and maybe they're going to hold me responsible. It becomes the opposite of what we said. It really falls back on the CIO, and some CIOs don't want to open that up, or they don't want to accept the reality that they have to accept the third party's view. And that's happened to me quite a lot, by the way, over my years, where I come in as that third party to look under the hood and stuff. And for the most part, I've been lucky where I've gotten actually good partners, where they've been very willing to work with me, and they understand firsthand that my knowledge is just here, and I would welcome somebody coming in with a fresh new pair of eyes, and that helps tremendously. But I've also seen the other side where people get very timid in job security, and they're like, they resist, and they do the blame shifting. I would have done what you wanted me to, what you're planning on doing, John G, but I was busy doing a bunch of other things and keeping the lights off, and finding various excuses instead of just coming out and saying, you know what, I wasn't capable, and I'm just appreciative that you're coming in here. Let's work together. I always found that those being the best partnerships versus the combative ones, which also can stifle somebody like myself who's just coming in to do one job to help transform. That's happened before in many various other parts of where I come in, and I'm dealing with combative people who are just stuck in their ways. Honestly, between you and me, I'd rather not have to deal with that and just deal with people who are just much more open and being like, you know what, thank you for coming in here, and let's work together and figure this out.
I think it's that transparency that is so critical, that if the organization is trying to implement a new way of doing business, I think it was Duolingo, and I think it was also maybe it was Shopify, where they said, hey, we're going to be an AI first company. You can't hire people until you can show me that this can't be satisfied through AI. I think those are wonderful stories to read, but the fundamentals are they probably had their business organized in such a way as they could. And when companies read that and they want to do the same thing, I think it is critically important to have a point of view of, are we even in a place as a company to do this? Are we structured? Can we iterate quickly? It reminds me, I worked with the Department of Taxation for one of the states, and for them, innovation was moving from 3 pieces of carbon copy paper to 2. They just had no fundamental culture that allowed them to move quickly. Versus you look at companies like Amazon, where they do things differently. The employees are allowed to fail forward. They need to learn from it. They need to iterate quickly, but it's for them. If you're not moving fast and breaking things, you're not trying. And if a company does not have the awareness of where they sit on that spectrum, it doesn't matter what innovation you try doing. If the culture is going to hold you back, you've got a problem. Do you think companies are self-aware, or do you think they need almost a bit of an aha moment of, this is really what we look like? Almost I don't want to call it a mirror, but almost step on the scale and let's see what your truth is.
Yeah, I think it depends on the company, but most companies that I've dealt with are either self-aware when I got there, or they've become self-aware, or they're becoming self-aware of, we need somebody to come in here because we're starting to feel that staleness and stuff. And great, and I keep highlighting this, but Mike Morris is a perfect person to see that and be at the forefront of that, of knowing exactly at what point, even when he was seeking me, I think he had just become self-aware of, we need this. We need somebody else to come in here with a different point of view. maybe even blow it all up and just re-engineer this. And are there the Amazons of the world? I would say they are, but it's a handful of them compared to the other.
What do you believe are some blind spots that CIOs have, and how would you advise them?
So really great questions there, Mike. I say blind spots. Again, I go back to, I think about the traditional CIO. I'm a different breed. I've always described myself as a little bit of a different breed than the traditional CIO. But when I think of a traditional CIO, their blind spots are staying comfortable, becoming complicit, not taking initiative, waiting too long, falling into the bureaucratic abyss, which I hate the most. I'm starting to look at people that are under me, that in looking to them, I always loved, I don't know if you ever practiced this, but I always loved that quote that Steve Jobs said of, I surround myself and I hire smart people, and my job is to listen to them and get their advice. I don't know if he ever practiced that, just knowing his personality, but I love that. And I try to do that. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I for sure have experience, but I like to listen to people. I have seen CIOs that don't do that. And whether it's an ego thing or not, just, hey, it's my way or the highway. This is how I know how I've done it for the last 20 years. This is how we're going to do it. It's a proven methodology, whatever goes in that mind of thinking that it's the right thing. And I don't agree with that.